Good evening and welcome to Perchance to Dram. Tonight we are once more into the breach, this time with the Game of Thrones, Six Kingdoms, Mortlach 15-year-old Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey. Quite a lovely tube, as you can see the three-eyed raven depicted here prominently. Your standard Diageo bottle. This was the last of the line of Diageo's Game of Thrones partnership releases that had many of their distilleries paired with one of the kingdoms and other factions of Westeros. And it turned out that it wasn't that popular of a line, and it came at a time when people were souring on Game of Thrones due to some of the dissatisfaction with the final season of the show. So this particular bottle went on the shelf, however long it was, 2-3 years ago, at $160, which, this being Diageo, was vastly overpriced. And it did not sell anywhere very well at all. And many liquor stores, at least here in the United States, and I imagine wherever else they ran this tie-in, have had to clear it out by reducing the price. So I got this for $81, which, reading online, feels like about where it sits quality-wise. For me, I'd never had a Mortlach, and for a 15-year-old Diageo whiskey, 81 these days is kind of a steal. So yeah, finally picked it up because the state of Utah even is willing to go so low to clear it off of their shelves. So why the three-eyed raven? Why the Six Kingdoms, you ask?
Spoiler alert for Game of Thrones, but the character of the Three-Eyed Raven is more title, and first it applied to an old man who was portrayed by Matt Fonseca, who could view the past and the future through a network of trees with faces, and he took into a sort of apprenticeship Brandon Stark, who, when the Three-Eyed Raven died, inherited that name, and of course Brandon Stark, as Brandon Brogan, was in the final episode of the series elected as king of the Six Kingdoms of Westeros. Of course, it was originally Seven Kingdoms, but his birth kingdom of the North seceded and was the Third Kingdom, ruled by his elder sister, Sansa Stark.
Anyway, so the Mortlach distillery is in Dufton, in Speyside. Dufton, a small town with 7 whiskey distilleries, and it's really known as the heart of Speyside. And Mortlach is often called the Beast of Dufton because it is a little bit heftier and a little bit more challenging, in contrast to the lighter, more refined, I suppose you could say, spirits which predominate in Speyside. Ooh, okay. Earthy, turf, a little bit nutty. This is bottled at 46% ABV and presumably colored and chill filtered. Earthy, nutty, getting some syrupy, dark fruit, sherry. This actually says that it's finished in ex-bourbon barrels. Usually it's kind of the other way around. You take something that's matured for, let's say, 10 years in ex-bourbon barrels and then finished for, 2 years in ex-sherry. Typical of Mortlach, which is known very much as a sherried single malt. This spirit was matured mostly in ex-sherry, so European and American sherry seasoned oak, and then finished in ex-bourbon, which is quite a reversal, but an interesting one, nevertheless. Oh man, I mean, it's got a lot of depth, deeper into an earthiness, almost a hay, down into Christmas cake, fruit cake, very rich. Some citrus, meaty there, almost medium rare steak, which for me is more typical of a Highland category whiskey, where I often get kind of a meat vibe. Almond. Oh, wow. That's quite good. It's not overpowering. It's complex. It's got a lot of layers. I'll slosh it. Yeah, that's not a bad malt for the price. Initially, you get some of that nice, dark, dried fruitness and kind of a spicy, and you just get the faintest hint of sulfur, of something on fire, but it really doesn't throw the palate off or introduce any off notes. So far, the finish leaves some to be desired, kind of coconut with hint of raisin. I'm actually going to leave in the description a link to a very well done video tour of the Mortlach distillery by the German gentleman at whisky.com, which I found very informative. I remember visiting the Dalwhinnie distillery many years ago and being struck by the worm tubs. And at Mortlach, they also have worm tubs. And one of the things that contributes to in the whiskey is where it is a little bit feistier and richer because there's less copper contact than there would be without the worm tub. Oh, wow. Okay. So a bit more kind of grassy, turfy, Trinity cream, creme brulee, lychees, tiniest hint of diesel oil. Still a lot of just meat for me. Just really tender, medium rare filet mignon. Christmas cake, citrus, and something herbal. Some sort of herbal balm, maybe. Like just a faint Bengay. Spicy. Nutty. Still letting me down a bit with the finish. So the verdict on this one, it's pretty good. For $81 as a completionist, never having had a bottle of Mortlach or even any Mortlach at all, definitely worth it. It's a decent malt, but I wouldn't go out of your way to search for it, even on clearance. And hopefully I still have some of this bottle left when The Winds of Winter finally is released. Cheers.